Good morning. If you want to taste the freedom, I guess it means keep going. I don't know. Anyway, good morning. If you remember last Tuesday when I was making a video, and I'm like, I gotta hurry. Well, apparently the session is at 10 o'clock, not 9 o'clock. So I got there at 9 o'clock, and I'm sitting there, and she's like, it's at 10 o'clock. And I'm like, whatever. I had my iPad, I had my book. So I was ready. But yeah, man, first, I hope everyone's safe. I saw on the news a lot of flooding. So if I got any, well, I guess anyone who's in those areas wouldn't be watching me right now. But, people who have family in those areas, you are watching me. It rains here too, but, we're in a good area. We don't get big storms or anything. Not so much snowstorms, like once every 4 years. We do got violence, a lot of guns and shit. But yeah. In my dream last night, I dreamed that I was driving and the car like flipped, like, and I walked out and went to where I was going. It's a weird dream. And then we're in some weird house. It's like some cult house. So on Sunday, right, my dad puts on the Bible Network, right? And although he puts it on, he usually be in the garden. So it's just, the TV's blaring at 10. The highest volume is like, and I'm either eating breakfast or passing or whatever. I guess today I was just sitting there working on, or maybe I was reading a book. I don't remember. And then I look over on the TV and I see this guy. He's in a camo, like army jacket looking kind of thing. And good morning. He has a fade, and he has like, he kind of looked like the dude from Arrow, the main guy who died. That guy. He had that kind of face with that kind of beard. He had on his camo jacket, and he had his hand kind of like this the whole time. And he's like kind of strutting back and forth, and he's like preaching the gospel. And he's like, and then there was a guy behind him, and his hands were like this, and he was wearing all white. It looked like he's in a straitjacket. And it was just really, when he's wearing jeans and all that, it was just really interesting. Because he looked modern, and he had a modern take on the book. But I wonder if old school preachers would be doing what old school rappers would be doing. Back in my day, we couldn't walk around in camo. The things are changing, man. That is, like, I'm wearing a MCU property. And I see a lot of people now posting about She-Hulk, and they're all upset. I don't know if She-Hulk is gonna prompt me to go buy, or I can't even afford to go buy Disney Plus. But now if it was like Wakanda animated series updated, I would probably figure out a way to do that. But I don't know about She-Hulk. But I'll watch it once I get it. I'll watch it, but I'm not, you know what I'm saying? The people are watching it just so they could complain about it. I mean, you know what you're getting. It's called She-Hulk. What do you think it's going to be about? It's a business model. Anyway. So, yesterday, I went to the library because I was preparing for my therapy session today. And last week, she asked me, how do you compromise? We were talking about compromising, and she's like, you have to compromise. And I'm like, I do compromise. She's like, And I would give her examples like that's not compromise. Like, what do you mean? So yesterday I went to the library to look for a book on compromise, but my janky. No, I can't say that. It's a great library. It's updated. It's clean. There's order. The prints, while not so expensive, at 20 cents for black and white, but Staples, they're charging like $1. They put on this thick ass paper, but still. So I went there looking for some books. I couldn't find anything. I was trying to find a book on like Karl Marx, like Immanuel Kant, you know, some heavy philosopher or political type. I couldn't find their books. Thinking about it, it might have been the autobiography section, but I didn't want the life of them. I just wanted their theories in a book. So I ended up just picking up all the books I read over the years. So I stumbled on The Art of War by, I don't want to butcher his name, but The Art of War, Chinese guy. And I picked up How to Choose, or maybe The Art of Choice. That'd be crazy. I didn't even notice it had art in it, but I think it's The Art of Choice. And that was recommended by my girlfriend at the time in Japan, who I came home one day. I'm like, man, nobody reads books anymore. No one wants to read books already. She's like, how about you read my book? I read it a long time ago, but I'll read the Japanese and you can read the English. And it was like the greatest. We also read The Tale of Two Cities. It was great to have someone actually read. It'd be like, you know, you're watching Netflix and there's someone watching it and then you can share the stories and talk about it. Although we were reading the same book, we were reading it through different lenses. But still, it's nice to have someone to read it. So I picked up that book, and then I picked up David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. And the last book I picked up, I can't remember. Let's see here. Well, it's not that important. So that book, right? So I picked up 4 books. And real quickly I skimmed through them, but that's not even important. I'm just picking the book up because I'm so bad at like saying what I read. So it'd be like, I'm gonna walk in there and be like, well, I have a whole speech, so I'm gonna practice it right now. So I'll be like, last week we talked about compromise. I don't know if I'll use that voice. Maybe I should. What the hell's wrong with him? Should be writing down. He has multi-personality, dissociative personality. Anyway, so last week we talked about compromise, and I did some research on it, and this is what I found. Now, I probably might preface it with, I know you know because you are a therapist. That's what you do. Good morning. That's what you do, so I'm not trying to preach to you. People do that all the time, like she did last week, trying to tell me about music. Now, mind you, she might have been like a classical trained rock star. I wouldn't know that, but I don't want to do that. So I'll be like, you know, I know I'm just trying to say it this way so it makes the most sense. Otherwise, I'll get really abstract about it. So then I'll be like, compromise. Compromise works when 2 or more parties agree, when 2 or more parties are coming from the same place and agree on the end goal, something like that. I should write this down. Probably won't, because I'm pretty sure at some point she'll stop me and then we never will get back to my point, because that's usually what happens. But so then, and then I found how to compromise, and I'll read the 4 steps. First, understand where the other person is coming from, which that doesn't work if other people are lying to you, you know? They're like, oh yeah, you know, but they don't mean that. They mean something. They're trying to be slick about shit. So that first step can't work. Second step, well, at least when I'm telling her, I'll be reading it from my phone, because I kind of made some notes there. So then I'll jump to the next point. Well, you see, the problem is I can't compromise if the people that I am having the issues with are from a different society. See, that's not a good transition. But again, I'll have the notes. I'll be looking at the phone. But so then I jump to society. What is a society? A society is one or more people in a group that share customs, norms, and yada, yada, yada. So then, yesterday when I went to I guess I'm glad I'm practicing this now. I'm not sure how I will segue to the next parts of this. So then I might jump. Well, all right. So I did this. My purpose of going to the library was not to get the books. It was to print out some paper that I made. So I found 100 core values, things that are important to people that are very difficult to change. Because in a compromise, you shouldn't compromise your values. So on the list would be like finance, love, ambition, creativity, generosity, teamwork, loyalty, 100 different things. So I put me, 2 friends, my brother, my dad, and a random person, rando. And I just put a little check mark by all the qualities. Now on mine, you would see a whole bunch of creativity, following your passion, and then as you go from left to right, you'll see that the further right you go, the less core values you share. So then what I was trying to illustrate, now I didn't interview anybody. I'm just kind of going by just something, so we have something, and I printed her out a copy, whatever. So my point would have been, now if I'm talking with my dad on his is religion and faith, and those are checked. They're not really checked on mine. So if my dad were to say, you just gotta believe or something like that, it'd be a core value that I don't believe. Reason being, good morning. This morning, or every morning I wake up, I can hear my dad praying, saying, thank you. I mean, I don't be listening. But towards the end of the day, I don't hear the prayer anymore. It's like, and the day's this, and then it's that. Like, it confuses me. Like, if that's, like, the way I'm talking now, right now, and if you were to hop onto the stream tonight at Tuesday at 9 p.m., still going to be talking the same way, because that's my core, to be consistent in whatever I do, to my own detriment. So it'd be hard for us to agree on that point. And then when it comes to like creativity or innovation or entrepreneurialism, like the other day, my dad was saying, you gotta save your money, which is true. It's better to save for rainy days than it's raining a lot. But how do you become an entrepreneur? You gotta put that money and you gotta throw it out there. Now do your research and do what you can do, but at some point you just gotta let that money go. No guarantee you're gonna get that back. No guarantee it's gonna work out. In fact, they say 9 out of 10 businesses fail. You are going up a hill that don't want you there. Now as you know, I did my headphones, I did the t-shirts, do the music, tried the YouTubing. That for whatever reason, the entrepreneurial seed was planted in me, and it grows. So we're not gonna ever, it's gonna be very difficult to come to some agreement, compromise on that point. And out of a list of 100 things, it always was like the 50 things that were core for me didn't apply to other people. And then the things that were core for them didn't apply to me. But then you could see the ones that had more similarities with me, we didn't have arguments because we seemed to be on the same page. Would be my point that I would like to illustrate to the therapist. Then, in a conversation we had a few weeks ago, she was saying something like, "You're worthy." I said I felt ashamed that I didn't have any money, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, "Don't be ashamed. You have worth." So I checked it up, and the definition of shame is to not believe you have no worth or no value. It's not me. I know I have value. I'm valuable, man. Value. You're right. You guys should invest in stocks right now because when shit pops off, man. So I got that. But I couldn't verbalize what I was meaning because I don't, while I do read the books and while I do this all the time, I don't, on the spot, unless it lined up with, like today I'm ready for anything related to this subject that I spent 43 minutes thinking about it, and now I'm walking and talking about it. But if I didn't, I wouldn't really have anything to say about this other than, I don't know. So, within a society, there's 4 types of norms. Again, this will be written down, but let me see if I can. There's folkway. Folkway are like belching and farting. It's not illegal to do, it's just kind of, you know, it's not the nicest thing to do. And then there's more, like moral things. Maybe sex before marriage type of thing. It's not illegal, but some people might object to that. Then there's taboos, which tend to become illegal. So that'd be like incest and R. Kellyan and shit. They tend to become laws. And then there's laws, like killing someone. Now, these norms are dependent on the society, and society is just a group of people that conform to these norms. So then you get into counterculture. Like I saw this guy, his name is China Mac. I seen him randomly because there was some random guy who was doing this freestyle challenge, and China Mac was the guy who started it. So I went back to the thing and I'm like, okay, and it's this guy, China Mac. I guess he's Chinese. I would hope he's Chinese if he's like Indian, but, and I guess the connection is, remember back in the day when Jin was on Freestyle Fridays, 106 in the Park, and he was killing it? Well, apparently China Mac and Jin got into it because of their associates, and China Mac killed Jin's partner or whatever. I don't know. This conversation is on Vlad, if you know Vlad TV. I didn't know all that. I just know he kept popping up, and he would always be like just talking. Like for those who know, he would be like the Mommy Sue, right? So he talks, he walks, he acts, and you're like, why does he talk and walk and act? But it's where you live, it's where you grow up. I grew up here, but I don't talk like some of the folks around here. I talk the way I talk. People are like, are you really from where you say you are? Yeah, I'm from here. I just don't talk that way. But he was telling the story about how and now I got way off track, but hey, we'll figure it out. I apologize to the one guy or gal who said, I'm so lost with these videos. If you're new, that's just the way it is. But if you've been here, then you should know. Same format, different country. But he was explaining the rules of snitching, right? He said, I didn't blame Jin for telling who I was because he's a civilian. Now, if you are on the streets and you pick up a gun, if you sell some drugs, if you do the time or you do the crime, then you give up your rights to be a civilian. You're now a gangster. It was put eloquently, you know? Basically, if you do the dirt, then you can't snitch. And if you don't snitch, or if you don't do anything, then, now that's his rules. But my point is, within his circle, within his society, those are the rules, and you have to abide by them. So he's like, I have no animosity towards Jin. He did what he had to do. And then he gave like an example where if, good morning, he gave an example where if he robbed Vlad, like if I robbed you, snapped you up and took your chain, you should tell the cops because you a civilian. But so yeah, different societies have different rules. Like in my society of one, my rule is, here's some rules of mine, right? You gotta be honest, man. Even if it's some stupid shit, just be honest. You get no points for lying or trying to, even omission is lying in my book. Like, you say you're gonna do something, you didn't do it because you fell asleep. Say you fell asleep. It happens. If, whatever. Like if you in love with a stripper, say it. Because I like the song I'm in love with a stripper. Never been to the strip club enough. I think I went twice in my life to like catch feelings for a stripper, but whatever. But yeah, so that's one of my things in my little society of one. You have to be honest. You just gotta be straightforward. In my little society, saying shit, and it's kind of, but it's the opposite. Saying shit that you never will do is equally as annoying. I don't want to hear about the things you never gonna do, never have an intention to make moves on, never put the time to, like, I don't care. And then that also extends to, what would you do if you lived on the moon? I don't plan to live on the moon. I got an issue with that. Although I've never experienced living off the earth, I read a few books and that there's a term for it, at least maybe in sci-fi, but you know, being so far away from home. Kind of felt that way when I climbed Mount Fuji. You're way up there and you're looking way down there, and it's just like, you get a little kind of weird inside. Same feeling when I'm in a plane. You look down and when you fly over, like, I want to say Antarctica, there's just ice. It's like, wow, we crashed there, man. Ice. So yeah. But anyway, I got a whole bunch of these things. But yeah. But I'm my society won. So then, let me just tag that in there real quick. So when I came back when I went to take my books to check them out, yo, I don't know when this happened or why it happened, but they're no longer fining people if you're late for the books. That must have been a good bit. I don't know. Maybe it's a bad business. Because people who don't return books on time, they just never bring them back anyway and disappear off the grid. So they're like, whatever. Let them return it whenever they return it. But, so I go up there and I put my 4 books down that I told you about. And she said, wow, these are great books. Love these books. I read these all the time. This is my genre. Now, I don't know if she's bullshitting me. Like, librarian is up there saying that some guy comes up with how to punch frogs in the head. Why? I don't know. But that's the book. She's like, oh my gosh, I love this book. I read all the time. Maybe that's her thing. Because she just wants to make people happy. But I'm going to say she really does read those books because what would she gain? There's no money to be made. I don't know. Maybe they got quotas. Anyway, so I'm like excited. I'm like shocked. Because I anticipate when I go to the therapist, I'm like, here are the 4 books. She's like, I never read those books before. Wow, those are some interesting books. Oh, you read a lot of books. I'm not bringing it here for you to stroke my ego. I'm bringing it here to prove a point. But she's like, yeah, I read the books. I'm like, is there a book club for these kind of books? She said, no, nobody reads these books around here. It's hard. And then I walked away. Now, I could have gave her the story about how I made a book club centered around these books, but no one came. I tried. And it would have been like, I tried in Japan. Like, oh, you went to Japan? I always wanted to go to Japan. But I was on a mission that people were saying impossible. And when I swung, I want to use swang. When I swang, I can't say swang. I guess I could, but it's not grammatically correct. But I could do that when I'm rapping. When I swang this, then I'm gonna rap swang off a rang. If I use swung, then I couldn't. You see, this is how it works, huh? But yeah. So last night when I was doing my little preliminary research, but nothing too deep and in depth, because usually, you know, whenever I try, like, usually I just have the book on me. I'm just walking around with a book, and then like, oh, what you reading? And I'll be like, you know, it's a book about, and like, that's a weird thing to say. Like I had a book that said, I forget what it was. Don't how to I don't remember the title, but it's something like how to fuck anyone up. It was just air, because when I came back from Japan, I noticed all these books had like fuck right in the middle. How to fuck and make cookies. It's so weird. And I posted the book title on my Facebook when I was still Facebooking, and my friend's stepdad's like, Matthew, don't read those kind of books. God is love. Love is God. Now, what's interesting is, you know the expression, don't judge a book by its cover? Well, this is and I think I even said that. Don't judge a book by its cover, you know, just playing around. He's like, no, Matthew, God is love. Love is God. Da, 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 da. And, you know, you already know how I felt about that. And I just left it at that. Because, you know, parents, when they started popping up on Facebook, you just had to let them be. They knew to this, you know. One time he was arguing with one of my, I don't know, random people who follow me. What they doing over here? They having fun with this? That's fun. Like, I wish I had someone to come out here and but no, I do feel that way. I mean, one time I was walking with my brother, and it was newer. It was actually in color, and they had like the little mallets on it, and I was just like, oh my gosh! I was like, but I had to hold the camera and do it by myself because my brother was way over there. Like, what the hell is he doing back there? I was like, I'm making music. I wonder if I still got the video. I should. But when I'm like cleaning up my iPhone, I'll be deleting shit and then remembering I needed it. Anyway, but yeah. So when I was doing my research for the thing, The Art of War, right? It's a book about war, the strategies of war. I think it's Song Sheet. I don't remember. But it's a book about war, strategy. And a lot of businesses read it. Like, I'm sure Tesla or Musk, Gates, Jobs. We on a last name basis, man. I just walk in. What up, Jobs? But they read these books and they, you know, could make a strategy. If you're in marketing or advertising, they use similar words, similar concepts. You know who else read the book? Nelson Mandela. I mean, when I was reading his book in business school, it came up. He's like, yeah, I read his book, a lot of strategies. Now, it sucked because I was like, I wanted to say this, because when I was in business school, we had to read the book, right? And I was reading The Art of War at that time. And then when I read Nelson Mandela's book, I think it was A Walk for Freedom, he talked about reading the book. He read all those books. He read Rockefeller's book. He read a lot of books. And, you know, he would come out of jail and go on to do certain things and blase. I don't know if he was right making strategies based specifically on A, B, and C, but he read the book. You are what you eat. You are what you read. You are what you think, you know? Right? So in the class, we were reading about him, and the teacher's like, he's such a great man. He was crying. His little, whatever. I mean, he was just overwhelmed with emotion as he would recount the story of how great he is. And he's crying. Some classmates were crying. What you all crying for? He's a guy, human. So in the book, I had my book and I highlighted the passages from the book to highlight strategies he took, because that's what you do in business school, right? You analyze. But little did I know, they didn't want to hear that shit. They shut me down, like, no, that may be true, but he's a great man. Tears. Highly annoyed. And so back to the therapist. So what I would like to, now I don't know, if I could get this all done in 5 minutes, it'd be great. I don't want to spend, I ain't trying to convince her of nothing. Double negatives. But and that's the thing, man, like 1 hour sessions, well, now we get like 2 hours a week, but who knows, we'll see. But when you don't follow the norms, when you are on your own path, and you go into a society that is not filled with sympathizers, you know what happens? You get ostracized. Fancy word for people shun you. People look at you like you're a weirdo. People implicitly, remember how we talked about implicitly or explicitly, try to make you smaller, try to make you, and it works to conform, because look at how society is going about. Like, I know, I mean, I had this conversation but there's certain things that you just can't do. Like, you might come from a family, black family, where in your family you can't date outside your race. It's just impossible. Because if you do, it's gonna be trouble. There was a movie, Bernie Mac and Zoe, I think, I don't know, came home with Ashton Kutcher character, whatever, and there's a whole thing, now some people are just like, whatever, I'm gonna do me. But other people spend a whole lifetime, I can't do that because my family will not accept. It could be religion, it could be politics, it could be like that ostrich is tough. It could be body, it could be just so many things, you know? And it's a powerful way to make people get in line without like hitting them or kicking them, but that it can rise to that level. But just being ignored by people, that, and if you think I'm like being Matthew, remember when the pandemic happened and people were unable to meet their friends and family, and people started getting super depressed and sad? I mean, I ended up, when I came back Christmas, I was talking to my friend's mom, and she's like, man, I can't take it, I'm going crazy. But you know, everyone, so imagine if you were socially shunned on purpose. It could drive you crazy, drive you mad. Like when in jail, when you shank someone, they put you in isolation as a punishment. We, as humans, we don't like to be isolated. Now, introverts, ambiverts, that's a mix of both. Extroverts. We all are wired a little differently, but in general, that's why social media for young people is kind of It's a fucked up situation. Like, if you don't get likes and views, that is death. If you didn't come from that generation, I was talking to someone, they're 47, 7 years out, right? And they're just like, I can't understand why people get upset that no one likes their video. Sheesh, that's not, I wouldn't, but it's not your era. Now I'm like in the middle way, man, it'd be annoying when I first started. Now it is what it is. Someone asked me why your channel ain't growing. Because I'm not putting up content that is how to say this? I mean, people like it. I think if I made another, well, I have another channel, but if I made another channel and I was doing exactly the same thing, I can't imagine I can't imagine people would just start coming to the channel. Hey, it's that guy who posted again, because there's nothing to really, there's no meat to hold on to. At least now it's like, I remember, because someone said, I remember you said this back then, and now you're doing this. It's kind of a growth thing. But yeah, and that's the channel. I mean, I don't see it getting any better. I mean, maybe I'll end up going back to Japan, which, that'd be cool. And I think the channel will start to pick up again. Like, he's back. And oh man, will I be back. I'm gonna be kissing the ground. I love it here, man. Oh my gosh, I'm back. Ah. But yeah, so lost my train of thought. Back channel, lost views, watching. Okay, yeah. So, you know, so I've been doing it long enough where it is what it is. Me making this video has prepared me for the therapy session. And the whole summer of videos has made my mind, you know, I'm sitting out here talking it out. Some people shout. Ah! I'm not a shouter, but I'm talking it out. And then when I get back in the house, you know, I was like, hey, Dad. And then repeat, because every day, oh man, but wow, where was I go? That's why I couldn't smoke weed, because if I smoked weed, I would be all over the place, because, you know, you'd be talking like, huh, what was that? What'd you say? Like, if I stop and think, I usually can come back to whatever led up before that thing. Even on some Inception levels, I'll be like, preom, preom, preom. Let's see here, where was I? Let's see, where was I? Let me think. Trail, what? Oh yeah, so, you see what I'm talking about? So, younger people don't like not getting views because they're in an era where people become megastars overnight. Doing some, it's not a stupid dance, but you know the backpack dances, that's not even a dance. I remember I was at a club one time, or at a show, all right? So these are my peers. We're beat makers, we're backpackers. And then I saw them doing that backpack dance, and they're all like, it was not cool looking. Now the dance, the Drake shoot dance with the, I thought that was cool. I was in the club once, and this big dude started doing it, but he was smooth with it. And then the dude came up behind him and he held the shirt and he just like doing all those new dances. I'm uncoordinated as hell. Now I could do it because the Zumba lady, she did the dance. She's like, like, oh shit. They incorporate dances into them. Like, look at me. I feel self-conscious because, again, in this gym, there's people looking at you. Even they, like when I turn around, I be looking dead in the eyes of, because they're looking at you. Now maybe they're looking because like, man, this guy is smooth with it. Or maybe they're looking like, this guy, I thought all black people can dance. He's so uncoordinated. I don't know. But, Come on. But yeah, man. We have 40 minutes, and we almost at the end of the trail. And when we get to the house, we gonna eat breakfast. So yeah, moon rock. So I think 2 people shout out moon rock, right? And if it was up to the 2 people, the moon rock would have like faded away from my brain. Cause that's how these things go, man. I got 1,000 ideas, but my mind just be all over the place, all different types of projects. And then life happens. Like yesterday, it's like 3 o'clock meeting, Zoom meeting. I can't not go to the Zoom meeting. Although I can always say, my dad needed me to do something. They can't argue with that because I told her up front. And she's like, shit happened. Well, she didn't say shit. She's like, well, life happens. So that's going to be my go-to anytime. Oh yeah, my dad. But so I was planning to work on this song for this Fiverr job gig I had, right? And then I just get it. All right, meeting at 3 o'clock. So I do the meeting, and then I went off and got all the books. So at 5 o'clock, I started working on it. And this is more of a case of procrastination because dude, he just wanted me to freestyle. I was thinking he wanted me to rewrite things. But when I listened to it, I sent him a freestyle, and he sent me back a freestyle, the same freestyle, but over another beat. So it's kind of off, and he just wanted to get a freestyle that's on beat. He's like, can I do that? Of course, I could have done that like 10 years ago. But he's cool about it, man. So yeah. But yeah, moon rock. I wrote a verse last night, sitting in my bed. It goes something like this. I'm just writing, like I'm not even, like it's flowing out of me the same way when I wrote the song for the earthquake. After the big earthquake in Japan, and everything was just all over the place, and I was just, like, I cried, man. I was sitting there, and my company was being a dick, and they're just like, ah! And I'm just like, the world's gonna die in the big cloud, and the kids are all like, ha ha. Yeah, it was, kids were merciless. Like, I came to class one day and I'm all shaking and and the kids are like, what's wrong? Ha ha. And the teacher's like, but so after everything settled down, I was sitting at my desk and I just started to write. And good morning. I started writing and it just flew out. I didn't even write verses. I just wrote on the page. I filled up 3 pages, which is roughly about, I usually 1 page equals, depending on how I write, but I write sloppy. So 1 page is 1 verse. So like 4 verses. It just kind of flowed out of me, man. Just. But last night when I was in my bed, again, it just flowed out of me. And it was like, now I'm trying to balance it, but I'm just gonna let the flow. So it went like, it said, I ain't heard from you in a while. I guess it's like that. Don't bother to write me now, cause I ain't gonna write back. Wasn't like you were riding for me, we were on different bike paths. It's kind of that cadence. I'm back on the mic now. The spot in my heart where you live, I turned the lights out. It's not you, it takes a whole village to kill a smart child. But yeah, it's what I feel. It's what I'm gonna write. So it's gonna be on the moon rock. But yeah, man, it's progressing. The process for this project, first of all, organic. But I really want to get deeper. Like I'm reading Well, I found the audiobook for Justice. I have the book and I have the audiobook. So I was listening to that on at the gym yesterday, and they talked about this story. It's all about justice, how fucked up justice choices can be. And there's a story, which we've seen this story multiple times. Like, this story was made back in a long time ago on some Greek mythology type era, right? But basically the premise is there's a city or a town or community or world that they're living the perfect life. It's a utopia. Everyone is happy. La 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 la. Happy on that shit, right? But somewhere, could be in the basement or hidden off to the side, or somewhere there's people suffering or in pain. And because they're in pain, the other people can live happily ever after. Now you say that's slavery, but this is before slavery. This is back in Greek mythology time. So it predates it, but that concept always existed, right? And modern day, we're looking at like The Matrix. We're looking at the movie where people are up and down and kind of float up. We're looking at Elysium with Born Identity. Jason. It's not his name, but you know who I'm talking about. So that concept, it's a movie trope, right? So I want to use some kind of overarching theme to put into Moonrock. Like, I'm suffering here so my dad can be happy. And I'm not suffering, but I mean, suffering is debatable, or I'm walking and talking, making music, so I'm not suffering. Suffering would be like if I was locked, like had my leg locked to some door or some shit. Somebody beat me at irregular times, because if it's regular, you can kind of just brace it, but that's on some torture shit. Just be like, bam, 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 bam. But yeah, so I'm not suffering. But yeah, so I want to make like some type of theme, because normally my rap is just kind of, there's a log right there, I'm in a log right here, I'll hit you with a log right here, I'm on a plane like Star Trek doing a log right here. Listen, that is a dialogue right there. I play out the words and mix it with, like, that's been my thing. Nothing wrong with it, but I want to go deeper. I want to push myself. I'm not trying to go out like, what's her face? Hot Girl Summer. I heard that her album, not that I ever listened to her albums, but all she does is rap about the same stuff. But to her credit, people buy her shit. Why should she change it up? People ain't buying my shit like that. So I guess I gotta change it up more, be more experimental. But yeah. Anyway, it's getting loud, cars passing, and you know the deal. But yeah, tonight, Tuesday, 9 o'clock, this is the second to last live stream. And after that, I don't know what's gonna happen. All right, peace.